Welcome back to GS with Harvey. In this video, we will discuss the important news of the Hindu and the PIB. So let's begin. The very first news is related to MP Assembly. What is the news? The news says that MP Assembly has passed a bill which contains the death penalty for the rape of girls aged below 12 and up to 12 years. The MP Assembly has passed the bill and the name of the bill is known as Dand Vidhi. So we should keep in mind the name of the bill is Dand Vidhi, that is the one of the bill which is passed by MP Assembly, and as per this bill, the bill suggests that there will be a death penalty or minimum term of 14 years for the rape of 12-year-old girls or below the 12-year-old girls, and there is also a provision of rigorous imprisonment of or life in jail till death for the rape of girls who are aged 12 or less. The bill also prescribed the minimum punishment, which has been now increased up to 20 years. There is also a provision of rigorous imprisonment for gang rape of little girls. So if the bill is now passed by the MP State Assembly, now what happens? This bill will be passed to the President for the assent, and we should note here that if this bill is approved by President or a assent is given to this bill, then the bill becomes an act. Then this will be the very first or the first bill in our country which will prescribe a death penalty for rape. So we should remember the name of the bill or the name of the act is the Dand Vidhayak. So let's look at some data of the crime happening of the rape cases in India in 2016. If we look at the data, then Madhya Pradesh topped the data with 4,888 two rapes happened in 2016, followed by Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. And the number of charges framed under POCSO Act, Prevention of Child Against Sexual Offence Act, then in this regard the Uttar Pradesh has topped, where the maximum number of cases are reported under POCSO Act, followed by Maharashtra and then Madhya Pradesh. So the Madhya Pradesh Assembly has passed a bill and the name of the bill is Dand Vidhi. So let's move to next news, which is related to Rajasthan. Rajasthan government has the Rajasthan government, the ordinance of the Rajasthan government has lapses. So what was the ordinance? Actually, the ordinance was trying to amend the Criminal Procedure Code (CRPC) in its application to the state of Rajasthan. What is Criminal Procedure Code? The Criminal Procedure Code is a central law which specifies the process to be followed by the authorities in the case of criminal cases. So under this law, under the ordinance, the police are allowed to investigate cases where it is alleged that a crime has been committed by a judge, magistrate or a public servant in the course of their official duties. But for this, the prior permission is required to be obtained from an authority before an investigation can begin in the case of such public officials. The ordinance also says that during the period of waiting for the permission, publication of any information that may identify the public official is prohibited, that the media cannot publish the name of the government officials. The bill also penalizes the violation of the provision with a jail term of up to 2 years and fine. So the ordinance has lapsed and Rajasthan government has to recreate or pass a bill in its assembly. Now let's move to next news, that is the that is referred to, or that is related to the employment. The what is the news here? The context is that the center is uh, preparing to redefine the definition of employment. So what is the need that government has? The need is that the government has felt that the ground reality on job was not properly captured. So there is a need to change the definition of the employment in our country, because the existing system takes, the present system is that it takes into the account only the formal sector. If we look at the definition of the employment we have at present, we will feel, or we can see, that there is only the inclusion of formal sector. So for this, government had already set up a task force this year under the chairmanship of Arvind Panagaria, who was then the vice chairman of Niti Aayog. So we should keep in mind that a task force was set up to just redefine the definition of employment, and the chairman of that task force was Arvind Panagaria, who was then vice president of Niti Aayog. What will this task force do? The task force will have the will be responsible for assessing the existing data, systems and sources that provide information on jobs and job creation, and then identifying the alternative sources that could provide such data. So task force will have the dual role. The first, that it will analyze the present system and the present data in our country, and it will also help in providing the information on the jobs and create and the job creation. The task force also will work on improving the employment data, which had sought comments from stakeholders in its latest draft report, and it has to submit its report in September 2018. So task force has the deadline to submit its report in September 2018. And the among the main recommendations, there could be a change in the definition of employment, as well as ways to include and measure employment in the informal sector as well. So what is the definition of employment? As I have discussed earlier, that it includes only formal sector, but it is being assumed that in the recommendation of task force under the chairmanship of Arvind Panagaria, the informal sector will be also included. So there is no fixed definition of formal workers currently in India. We have no fixed definition of formal workers, and it also excludes many workers who have decent and steady jobs, but either do not work in large enough enterprises, or they do not have written contracts. So also there is the government is planning, or the task force has planned to include the workers who are covered the Employees State Insurance Act 1948 and other similar insurance, or the employees who have provident funds. Now let's look at the data of the job creation in our country. If we look at the data of the of the job creation, or the number of jobs created in our country, in 2009 there were 8.89 lakhs job created. In 2009, the number of jobs created in our country was 8.89 lakhs, which decreased to 4.21 lakhs in 2014. And in 2015, the data became worst, and the number of jobs created in 2015 was only 1.35 lakhs, and 2016 it rose marginally up to 2.31 lakhs. So we can see from the data that the number of jobs created in our country deteriorated with time. So this was the news. Let's move to next news, which is related to world's first IT campus for differently abled in Hyderabad. Telangana state government, this is very important, that in this is for the very first time that in all over the world IT campus is coming up for differently abled persons, and this is coming up in state of Telangana, and the Telangana state government has also entered into agreement with Vindhya E-Infomedia Private Limited, agreement with Vindhya E-Infomedia Private Limited to set up the IT campus, for the differently able persons, that will focus on creating the employment exclusively for PWDs. With this, the Hyderabad is all set to be a home for world's first information technology campus for persons with disabilities. So this was a short news, but we should remember, because generally, because most of the time UPSC asks some questions that where is the first IT campus for differently able persons recently opened. So we should revise these things. Now let's move to next news, that is related to Venezuela. Venezuela has launched in its own cryptocurrency, which is called Petro. These days the cryptocurrency are quite often in news, like bitcoins, like Ethereum. So Venezuela has also created a cryptocurrency, or they have also launched their own cryptocurrency, which is called Petro. The value of the new cryptocurrency will be associated to the country's vast reserves of oil and gas, as well as its mineral wealth. So Petro will be associated with their Venezuela's vast reserves of oil and gas, as well as the mineral wealth including gold. So let's look at the location of the Venezuela. Venezuela is a country in South America, which is bordered by Brazil, Guyana, Colombia. There are many sanctions ongoing on the Venezuela. So country is in a kind of economic crunch, economic crisis. So this was the news. Petro is a cryptocurrency which is launched by Venezuela. Let's move to next news, which is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The International Day of Persons with Disabilities was observed on December 3. On December 3, International Day of Persons with Disabilities was observed. And what was the aim? The aim was to promote the rights and welfares of disabled individuals around the world. For this year, the theme was transformation towards sustainable and resilient society for all. For the very first time, or the history says that this International Day of Persons with Disabilities was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly UNGA resolution in 1992. So this was the one information, that December 3 is celebrated as International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and it came by the UN General Assembly resolution in 1992. So let's move to next news, which is related to CITES. What is the news context here? The news is that India has been awarded with the certificate of commendation from CITES. So India has been awarded with the certificate of commendation from CITES. Why it has awarded certification? Because India has worked really good in its regional and global efforts to combat illegal wildlife trade. India has really worked very hard, or worked very good, or India really controlled in combating the illegal wildlife trade across the boundaries, or across the boundaries of the different nations. It was given to Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. And what were the actions, or what were the steps the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau took? The Wildlife Crime Control Bureau conducted and coordinated a species specific wildlife enforcement operations. And what was the name of the operation? The name of the operation was Operation Save Kurma. Operation Save Kurma. So Operation Save Kurma was launched by WCCB, which is Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, and they launched a specific species wildlife enforcement operation, the namely Operation Save Kurma. So what was all about Operation Save Kurma? The Save Kurma operations aims to combat the proliferating and illegal trade in live turtles. So we should remember the fact that Operation Kurma is related to combating the illegal trade of turtles. And so this was the news. Now let's have some information about CITES. What is CITE actually? CITES stands for Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. So it is actually for both wild fauna and flora, and so it is also known as Washington Convention. Washington Convention is also known as CITES. It is a multilateral treaty. The participation is voluntary, that the no country is forced to join the site, but there is a rule or there is a principle going with the joining of sites, that if a country joins, then it is legally binding on the parties who join sites, but it does not take the place of national laws. The sites was opened for signing in 1973, and there are 182 parties to it. What is the aim of site? The aim of site is very clear, that it aims to protect endangered plants and animals, which I have told you earlier, that to protect the flora and fauna. So this was all the important news of 5th of December. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks.